This is an absolute steal for the Boston Bruins. They have made yet again another contract extension today, and this time the long-awaited extension for Morgan Geekie. And this one has a lot to be excited about, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be breaking it down, what this means for Morgan Geekie, Marco Sturm, this team going into free agency, as now we seem to be set with one big hole that we're going to talk about here at the end. But this is a very perfect thing for the Boston Bruins. We're going to be breaking it all down here in this video very quickly before we do jump into it, ladies and gentlemen. We're on the road to 10K. You know that. We just passed 7K, and this channel has been growing like mad over the last few days. Your support in the last video was absolutely incredible. I appreciate all of you guys watching here, and you're in the right spot if you're looking for your Bruins news. And if you're looking for that wherever it may be, whenever, you're going to have it right here. Be sure to hit the sub button. But let's get into this. First off, starting with the Morgan Geekie contract extension. Came out moments ago. Literally, you see the views. 264 views on this tweet. Came about 5 minutes ago from Chris Johnson, as multiple reports were kind of breaking down and going over this. Morgan Geekie signs a 6-year extension, more than we initially thought, with the Bruins carrying a $5.5 million AAV, less than we thought. And this is why this is a major extension, not just one that we've been waiting for. We know how important it is, but this is way better than the projection that AFP Analytics and a few other people had for Morgan Geekie. Now, I want to first go ahead and pull up not just the stats, but the projections for what we saw. Of course, AFP had him at a 4-year, 6.5. We made a video on that. A lot of people were a bit hesitant. I don't want to say very hesitant, but there was a big risk here at if Morgan Geekie did not show, again, what he did this year, that this could be a bit of a risky contract at 4 by 6.5. But now that we're seeing a 6 by 5.5, not only is it more term, which, yes, there is that risk run that's running there if he does not live up to that potential, but the way that Morgan Geekie's game is structured does not necessarily need to be the top point getter for the Boston Bruins. He does not have to be that guy that's going out and scoring 33 goals as he did the previous season, but he's a guy that fits well into a lineup with David Pastrnak, and it goes to show, whether or not he's the one scoring the goals, he's having a big impact out there on the ice. So comparing these two contracts from what he was getting to now actually what he got, this is such a good look for the Boston Bruins, especially with the cap going up over the next few years. Now, we do go take a look at his points once again. Those 33 goals, 24 assists for 57 points in 77 games last year was the best season of his career by far. Now, we saw a pretty decent playoff performance for him over the last 2 seasons. Not this year, of course, we're not in the playoffs, but this year was his real breakout season. We saw hints of that in his first year with Boston, but if this can continue going into next season, remember, he's only 26. If this can get better, and if he can get up to, let's just say, a 70-point season, I'm not demanding that. If he does this again, phenomenal. That is a perfect way to see Morgan Geekie come out here. But if he can continue this, being that first-line left winger on this team, the Bruins are looking in a very, very good spot. And this signing is only the beginning of that. Now, as we mentioned a few days ago, there was reportedly they weren't close on a contract, but the way that Don Sweeney came out and went around that contract and described what was going on, he said, "Are we on the doorstep? I don't think so, but that can change within one phone call." Again, you can get in and around this time frame, and sometimes you're tracking on a deal and you get it done right away. Other times you get sort of pushed back to the burner as to do what everybody else may be focused on. Now, this is exactly the situation that the Bruins ended up in. We saw maybe one phone call. I feel like Don Sweeney was kind of letting us on there that we weren't as close as we were. I think he was actually already having talks. I think some things were, kind of in the right direction. And if not, it worked out. One phone call made this happen. And Morgan Geekie, I think, really acknowledged that, this season that he had last year only happened once. He knows he's going to have to do it again to actually prove himself, and it almost does seem like he took a team-friendly deal on this with that $5.5 million for 6 years. Not just locks him up for long-term. If he can continue this, the way the cap's going up, this is just a string of W's for the Boston Bruins with this signing, and once again, it locks them up on Morgan Geekie, who they were looking for, who they needed last season to even remain somewhat competitive. This is what the Bruins were looking for, and he's going to be a guy that's leading this team for years to come. Now, as we do take a look at this is not updated by Puckpedia here yet. $5.5 million, take that out. The Bruins sitting at around $18 million, give or take, with a few movement there on the 1,000 side of things. But this, once again, gives the Bruins that much money to go and spend on things they want to do. We know that this lineup is trying to get better. Don Sweeney had I would argue, an A-plus draft. Now, so far in free agency, locking up Marat Huznatina for 2 years. I mean, I suppose that's not really locking him up, but you go do that. You go Now with Morgan Geekie, you're getting these guys now that are going to have an impact on your team for the future. Marat now, 2 years, may not work out, but he's a guy that has that potential to do so. Morgan Geekie has already done so, and if he does continue to be the player he was last year, this contract is going to be more of a steal than it already was. So the Bruins are trekking in the right direction. Don Sweeney is doing the right things and getting his priorities straight before free agency starts on Tuesday. And that's one thing that they wanted to make sure. They wanted to have their priorities set before that date, and now we do have just one more blaring hole that we're going to be talking about here in just a little bit, so stick around. But once again, coming back to this forward group, we see that our first line, we can call it lockdown at this point. Of course, if you do need to have Lindholm, Zacha, Middleside, whoever it may be at the 1C, that's fine. That will work. Although the Bruins are trying to go out and get another center, whether that is going to be in free agency, whether James Higgins does come into this lineup, let's hope not. Another year at BC, I think is going to be the best for him. But we have our first line locked up now. Next going on, the second line, we see really any winger that can slot in there. So many in free agency that we're going to have conversations about in the coming days and over the next few signings that are going to happen. But the Bruins have got their top ready to go, and now they're moving down the lineup. This is exactly what we need to see. The forwards are looking very good. Of course, a lot of young talent coming into this lineup. We don't know who just yet, but we know there's a lot of players ready to actually prove to Don Sweeney, to Marco Sturm, to this Bruins staff that they're ready to get into this lineup. Now, as I mentioned, there is one big hole here, and you see, not really on the offense. The offense is looking good, but the next priority for Don Sweeney for this Bruins team is to go ahead and lock up the defense. The defense is the big thing that we're looking at as we go here to Bruins Cap Space Twitter account. They put this up. Now, once again, this happened moments ago, so Morgan Geekie not locked up on this specific sheet here on this graphic, but we see first line good, second line, we're probably going to be good. We're probably going to use an in-house right winger if I were a betting man. Could be someone else on a bit of a cheaper term, but we're looking good. Now, the right-handed defenseman, Henry Jokiharju, his slot, not necessarily him, is going to have to be filled. We cannot really afford to go have Michael Callahan, who was once again extended today, or Ian Mitchell. Maybe Victor Soderstrom we could trust there, but we need someone who can play on that defensive line right there with whether it is Zadorov, whether it's going to be with Lowry, whether it's going to be with Elias Lindholm, whoever it is. We need someone there that we can trust day in, day out, 82 games of the season. And once again, Henry Jokiharju could be that option. We see Don Sweeney talking about him as well in that same press conference when he was talking about Morgan Geekie. I'm currently in discussion with Henry, seeing if we can bring him back. We have a need on the right side. There's no question about that. And I think that's going to be the next priority for Don Sweeney. I think that's one thing that we need to look out for. Maybe in the coming days or hours to days, I expect I can see Henry Jokiharju coming back. I'll say, I can see him coming back, but whether it's going to be in-house, whether it's going to be someone elsewhere, we're going to see that very, very soon, and that's going to be the next move for the Boston Bruins, in my opinion, and one that the Bruins are going to be ready to make, and they've seemingly done a good job with everything that they needed to so far here in this offseason, and now it's time to get the ball rolling again, Don Sweeney. He's making a good case for that extension being right, making a good case at the draft, free agency so far. The trade deadline was where we really saw him come back, and hopefully we're seeing this Don Sweeney, this aggressive Don Sweeney, more so in free agency. We know they want to spend, we know they want to get better, and they've done so already. Let's hope it continues. So let me know what you think about the extension to Morgan Geekie here in the comments below. I think that it's a fair assessment that when we do go take a look at the free agents as well, that is going to be the next move. It has to be the next move on at least the Bruins side of things. There's a few names here. Not a lot of great ones, but some ones that will have a major impact on this Bruins team. So let me know what you think there in the comments below. But all this news that we have here to bring you this evening, that's all I got. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button. Remember, all of your Bruins news right here, wherever you are. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. We're going to have it. I'll have it here for you first, just like this video. Now, that's all I got, though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.